Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we are live from Studio Vanguard, and we are linked in with the following repeaters. Which repeaters are we following?
I guess it would help if I put my mic in place. That would be Jersey, Noonan, Flagship, McDonough, Watkinsville, Toccoa, Rome, Columbus. Looks like we're having internet issues at Lula, Zebulon, Ocala, Dallas, Lookout Mountain, Fort Mountain, White Oak Mountain, Cades Cove, Chattanooga, Ottawa, Georgetown, and of course our VoIP service, Zello.
Tonight, our RF coverage is approximately 11.4 trillion cubic miles. Tonight, our RF coverage, I just said that. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone who has made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
In Atlanta 947 WQIR 514. My name is Julie.
And I am WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
And Atlanta 750 WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
And we have Kate.
If I unmute the button.
Who are you, Kate?
This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate.
On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear about. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. How does that go? Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. What are we talking about this week, Jeff?
According to our schedule on the calendar here, it says family involvement.
All right, so that is well, let's just go on to catch up, and then we'll pick it up from there. I'm getting everything out of order tonight.
That's okay.
How about it? Let's break and then come back to catch up.
Good evening. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate from high atop Mount Waleski, live in Studio C with this week's Catch Up with Kate, the latest NGGMRS sauce, GMRS news that we can all relish. The annual Smith Family North Georgia GMRS barbecue gathering at LL Farm will be held on Saturday, April 20th. Gates open at 10 a.m., so please do not plan on arriving any sooner. The road is small and there is no place to park while we wait for the gates to open. It is best to be a few minutes late and make way to keep the road clear. We have about 282 RSVPs at our last count. Anyone who has made a reservation and cannot attend should notify in an email to NGGMRS@gmail.com. Please, if you have not already, indicate who from your party will be attending and who will not. We would also like an accurate list of names so that name tags can be made. Also, for those on the waiting list, they'll be able to be contacted and invited to attend if you or someone from your group is not able to attend. Now let's see if Gainesville 285, Mr. C.V. Smith, would like to check in with us. Good evening, Mr. C.V. How are you?
Well, Kate, I'm doing great. So you can check in and out Gainesville 285, C.V. Smith in Murrayville, Georgia, and Gainesville 286 by way of relay in Murrayville, Georgia. In and out. We'll be monitoring as best we can. We're at a 290 count, 290 count at the present time. We have a hard cutoff of 300 people. Once we get to 300, people will be notified that they're on a waiting list, and I appreciate you encouraging people. If there's a change in numbers, that you've sent in previously, please let us know. If you've said 4 people are coming, but now 2 are coming, please let us know that so we can allow people on the waiting list the opportunity to come. So a couple of other things, and there'll be another weekly reminder going out the first of next week. No pets on the property. This is it's a venue for a lot of different kind of events, but
Not dogs.
wedding parties with long dresses, and pets tend to make messes, which cause messes with wedding dresses, etc. So they do not allow any pets unless you want to keep them in your car. And let me break for just a second. Also, this is a no smoking on the property location. So now there are workarounds on that. You can smoke in your car, but I would say that anyone who smokes might want to contact Atlanta 1402, Atlanta 403, Dallas 20, Atlanta 750, and find out what the workaround is that worked well last year. So just want to throw that out there, and we'll talk about that more later. But anyway, appreciate the opportunity to get in there and make an announcement about it. We're looking forward to it. 290 right now, and got a lot of giveaways. Chat Radio will be there with some giveaways, and Gary Beckstead's planning on giving away some pretty good equipment. So it's looking great. Thank you very much. This is Gainesville 285, WRKN 234.
Okay, thank you very much, CV Gainesville 285, for that update. And just to reiterate, for those of you who will be attending the barbecue, if you are a smoker, it is totally acceptable to smoke inside of your vehicle. The one thing that we completely discourage, do not litter your cigarette butts. So make sure you have a butt bottle or some kind of ashtray. That would be super. We're guests here, and we definitely want to leave a good impression. And unfortunately, Mr. Teddy and all of our other four-legged furry friends, as much as we love them, this isn't for them. So we got to leave them at home. So look forward to seeing everyone there April 20th at LL Farm. Thank you again, CV. Okay. The next Skywarn Net will be Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. The subject will be Tropic Thunder, or maybe tropical weather systems. These are training nets, so please check in and be prepared to participate. Please have your computer handy so you can follow along during this net. More information and training materials can be found at noaa.gov/jetstream. Also, tune in on March 26th for a mock training event. More information to come. Skywarn training nets are for the Chattanooga region only. If you have an interest in Skywarn and are not in the Chattanooga area, you can find a local Skywarn group near you. Skywarn nets are on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., only on the northern segment of the North Georgia GMRS network. Let me break. Also in Chattanooga, the Chattanooga Lunch Bunch will meet on Saturday, March 23rd at Champy's East Ridge, 6515 Ringgold Road. Reach out to Ronnie, Chat69, for more about the lunch gathering or any questions you may have about the Skywarn training class. Speaking of lunch, the Northeast Bunch will be gathering at the famous Roosters Cafe in Dahlonega on March 27th at 11 a.m. The Knoxville Brunch Bunch will be meeting on April 6th at 11 a.m. at the Cracker Barrel located at 716 Campbell Station Road. This is an open invitation, so anyone in the North Georgia GMRS family is always welcome, along with anyone who's looking to join our group. For more information, please contact Eric, Kate's Cove 80. The next McDonough breakfast will be on Saturday, March 30th at 9:30 a.m. in Stockbridge. For a secret location and more details, email Bruce McDonough39 at WRNX338@gmail.com. Let me break. Thanks to Dallas 202145, 46, and 47 for hosting the West Side Luncheon. This lunch will take place on the second Saturday of every month. The first get-together was a lot of fun, and all are welcome to attend this luncheon at Taco Mac in Marietta. The address is 2650 Dallas Highway, Suite 110 in Marietta. For anyone who would like to attend, please be sure to RSVP with an email to rabbithole@nggmrs.org. This allows them to contact the restaurant and make sure there's enough seating available for all who would like to join. For non-food related news, be sure to tune in for the Friday at 9 Simplex Challenge. Even if you're out of range of the ball ground repeater, you should engage in the simplex exercise and find out what your simplex coverage is and who your simplex neighbors are. In the event of a real disaster, this could be vital information, and it's another fun way to engage in radio. This week on the Simplex Challenge, we will engage in a relay exercise. Look for more information on Facebook or call out to ATL 250, that's Dana, sometime before the challenge for more details. The relay will be an effort at accurately conveying a message across the distance without the use of a repeater or other communication tools. This could be another valuable tool for situations where conventional communications are down. Let me break. And the North Georgia GMRS KidsNet airs the second Saturday evening every month at 7 p.m. The KidsNet is for family members of North Georgia GMRS network members or licensed guests. I'd like to thank all the parents who make the effort to engage their children in the magic of radio. This net is for the youth only, 18 and under. However, parental guidance and coaching is allowed and expected. If you have any questions, suggestions, or spicy announcements for us to catch up on, send me a note at kate@nggmrs.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate, and now it's time for Julie's Tips.
Here comes the Mustang guy.
Yeah. We are located outside, so you can probably hear some of the cars going by in the neighborhood. But anyway, thank you, Kate. This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. My name is Julie with this week's new user tips and operating procedure segment. This week, we'll talk about GMRS radio.
Yep. He's got a Mustang and he wants everybody to know
Yes,
it.
he does. And getting your family involved. So one of the coolest benefits to a GMRS license is that one license covers your entire family. Unlike amateur radio, where each active user requires their own license, GMRS radio allows you to engage in radio activities with your entire family. This includes members of your family who won't or can't pass a knowledge test for an amateur license. The ECFR tells us in Part 95, Subpart E, 1705, Section C, Subsection 2, any individual who holds an individual license may allow his or her immediate family members to operate his or her GMRS station or stations. Immediate family members are the licensee's spouse, children, grandchildren, stepchildren, parents, grandparents, step-parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and in-laws. That's the official ruling covering family members in GMRS. Many of us became involved in radio so that we would have communications available if the conventional communication options like phones and internet are ever lost. And it happens all too often where conventional communications are interrupted for a few hours, a day, and sometimes longer. Let me break. To engage our families in the use of radio is the best way to be sure that if normal communication channels are offline, we still have a way to reach the family. Getting the family on the air is the best way to ensure that when the time comes, they're prepared and familiar with how the radio works and the best practices for using it. Even if your family won't engage on the network, good simplex practices can be an important part of communication preparedness in the event of a communications outage. North Georgia GMRS has always encouraged family participation on the network, and we invite you to get your family involved every week on our nets. We also hold a monthly kids net specifically geared towards getting our smallest family members on the air. This is a great opportunity to share your love of radio with our youngest family members. These are just a few of the preferred practices of the North Georgia GMRS members, and these procedures are how we become the best operators on the nation's largest, most advanced linked repeater network. And remember, if you have any questions or suggestions for new user tips and operating procedures, send me a note at julie@nggmrs.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network, and this is Atlanta 947 WQIR 514. My name is Julie. Good night, everyone.
Somebody's
Your
holding
turn.
the key. Somebody's holding the key down.
Well-
I'm waiting for it to break. Who's holding the key down?
We were only 1 minute in.
Oh.
That's why I didn't let off on
Oh. All right. Well, thank you for that, Julie. Appreciate the tips tonight. And yeah, family involvement is our topic this evening. And you know, we even in the script every week we say that we encourage you to get your family involved, and we truly do. And we would like to hear, you know, the children and the spouses and all the family members come on the air. And well, for instance, you know, the Dallas 20 clan, you know, they have endeavored to get their family on the air, and now Belinda comes on each week, each rabbit hole with Mom's Time, and that's been a fantastic addition to the rabbit hole net. So it's great to hear the various family members come on the air, and the other part of this is that we want to encourage family members to engage in radio, so that if ever there's a circumstance where you are relying on your radios for communication, it's something that the family already has familiarity with, and so it's not going to be a matter of teaching them, you know, about quick keying or teaching them about what is a TAC number and what is a call sign and those kind of things. That they already understand those things because they've been using radios all along. That way, when there is an urgent need to be able to communicate on the air, we can get right to it and not have to engage in training on the fly. We have familiarity and comfort with doing that. So yeah, that's our topic tonight, and we'll ask members if they have a purpose of getting their family involved, or what family members are involved. Cades Cove 80 and 81 and 83 have very often been a part of the weekly nets, and it's great to see the whole family engaged in radio. So as often as we can, we want to encourage folks to do that. All right, so what do you think, Jeff? Is it time to go back to check-ins?
I think so, but that's up to the program director over here. What does your wife call you? Director of roll call?
Oh, here we go.
Director of roll call. All right. Can I get a salad with that?
Yeah, no charge.
All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and move in that direction. And at this time, let's take Zello check-ins. Anyone wishing to check in using the Zello app, Zello users only, please call Net Control now.
This is WRCT 291, noon and 35. Check me in and out, Justin. Good morning to everybody else on that.
That sounded great.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only one we're going to get?
We're going to get one more.
WROB 245
No, that's flagship.
Not a Zello.
849. Pamela in Duluth is in and out by relay. Ernest, Atlanta 848 in and out.
Whoops. I can't fit it. Damn it.
You're getting there.
Okay, a long, uncomfortable pause, partially intended to make an opportunity for those that are struggling with the Zello app to have a chance to get in here. I'm going to acknowledge a few check-ins. We have some YouTube check-ins and a handful of Zello check-ins right here. So let me go back and acknowledge Gainesville 285 CV in Murrayville came on during the Catch Up with Kate segment to give us some information about the upcoming barbecue. So we have CV is in and out, as well as Gainesville 286 Lynn in Murrayville, also in and out. And on YouTube, we had Atlanta 145 Stephen in Marble Hill. Also, we have Atlanta 557 Ed in Kennesaw, and Atlanta 689 Jana in Loganville, all checking in on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us on YouTube. And for those that may not be aware, we are live streaming this evening, so we invite you to go to the YouTube app or website and find North Georgia GMRS Network and find the live stream for tonight. Like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and it gives us more motivation to keep bringing these live stream events to you. So we're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to bring worthwhile content and content with some meaning to help new users and just provide worthwhile information and maybe entertainment too. I don't know.
Well,
Hopefully.
the entertainment tonight may come with my bloopers trying to play with all these new graphics.
Well, that may happen, or me getting things out of order. Who knows? But at this time, let me go ahead and acknowledge this round of Zello check-ins. We had Noonan 35 Walter in Noonan, in and out. And we had Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth, and Atlanta 848 Ernest in Duluth, in and out. Those were not Zello check-ins. Pamela, we would appreciate when we ask for Zello check-ins that we not get the RF check-ins. So when we're asking for Zello, please hold your radio traffic. It interferes with the ability to get checked in by way of Zello, and it costs us more time when we're trying to get those check-ins. So we'd appreciate that. One more YouTube check-in. We have Atlanta 420 William in Roswell, checking in and out on YouTube. YouTube check-ins by default are in and out. So there you go. That's what we have at this time. We're going to continue with check-ins, and we're going to ask for check-ins from any repeater other than flagship. So any of the outlying repeaters, please call Net Control now.
This is WRQV 762, Gainesville 44, Joe in Cleveland, be in and out.
This is Atlanta 77, WRQ 796, Warner, Tucker, Peter.
Check, check.
This is WRXM 345, Gainesville 43, David in Auburn, Georgia.
Did I say Gainesville 23?
Checking you out.
No.
Sorry.
43? No.
David, that's it.
Yeah.
He was in and out?
This is
Yeah.
WRXV 696, Dallas 64, Josh in Dallas, checking in and checking out.
Dead key was White Oak.
Dallas 16. I already got him in the log earlier.
This is WRZI 393, Chattanooga 230, here with Chattanooga 231 on the Lookout Mountain repeater. We are in Rock Spring, Georgia.
This is WRKK 629, Chattanooga 84, checking in.
Sounds like Jim. Mm-hmm.
This is
Noonan 120.
WRZL 542, Noonan 120, off the Noonan repeater in Fayetteville. Check it in.
All right, Net Control's going to acknowledge this last round of check-ins. We heard Gainesville 44, Joe in Cleveland is in and out. We heard Atlanta 77, Warner in Tucker is in with us tonight. Gainesville 43, David in Auburn in and out. Dallas 64, Josh in Dallas in and out. Chattanooga 230, Danny in Rock Springs is in with us tonight, as well as Chattanooga 231, Cheryl, also Rock Springs. We've got you listed as in tonight. Chattanooga 84, Jim in Hickson is in tonight. And Noonan 120, Carmine in Fayetteville is in. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. There was one dead key that we heard off the White Oak machine. We could hear a good clean carrier with some buzz, but no audio. So if you tried to check in on the White Oak Mountain machine, we did not get that. We'll continue on with check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Net Control standing by.
This is Atlanta 77, WRQ 796. I meant to say in and out. My apologies.
All right.
This is
Tom at Flowery Branch.
Good evening, Net Control. This is WRNW 488, Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch. I will be checking in and out tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
This is
Atlanta 589.
This is my favorite.
This be WRTI 560, Atlanta 589, Don in Kennesaw. Check me in and out.
All right, no Don stories tonight.
This is Atlanta 308, WRJF 981, Dan and Marietta checking in and out tonight.
I like that. Flagship.
Is WROB 24549. And sorry, guys, I did not know you were doing Zello. I had been out of the car and thought I was catching the last of the check-ins. Sorry, because I never do that.
This is WRCT 399, Atlanta 261, Scott from Woodstock, Holly Springs. If you wouldn't mind, check me in and check me out, ladies and gentlemen. And don't worry about it, Miss Pamela. I checked in on the Zello a few weeks ago, and it's all right.
This is WRJR 959, CW2, and by relay CW1. Steve in Arnoldville checking in on the Watkinsville repeater, in and out.
Is that Dexy's Midnight Runners? Come on, Eileen.
No. Oh, I'm too worried about pushing buttons over here. I'm way behind the log. I'm like a whole page behind.
All right, Net Control's going to acknowledge this last round of check-ins. We have, what do we have? These are all in and out. We have Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch is in and out. We have Atlanta 589, Don in Kennesaw is in and out. We have Atlanta 308, Dan in Marietta is in and out. We have Atlanta 261, Scott in Holly Springs is in and out. Atlanta 710, Scott in Roswell is in and out. CW2, Stephen in Arnoldsville, in and out. And we have CW1, Eileen, also in Arnoldsville, in and out. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We have an excellent roster to start things off with. And at this time, I think we'll go to the top. We'll take one more round of check-ins when we get to the end of the program. So if you didn't get in, we'll have another chance for you to get in here when we get to the end of the program. But for now, let's go ahead and we'll head to the top. And first on our list is Atlanta 403. Bobby at the Vortex is in and out tonight. And that'll bring us to Cades Cove 80, Eric in Rockwood. He wasn't sure. I think he's working tonight, so wasn't sure if he was going to be able to come on the air with us or not. But we'll see if Eric is there. And the question that we have for Eric is what efforts can you think of that would help us get our family involved in GMRS radio? All right, so that's not.
Thank you, guys. I'm on portable. Case Cove 80, so I hope. All right. Like I done when I first got into it. Let me see if I am hitting the rip.
Yeah, you're getting in here. You'll just have to be real still because it washes in and out when you move around. But when you're still, I think we'll have a good copy on you.
So yeah, when I got involved with the GMRS and got involved with this network, I learned through you guys that the family could also operate on my TAC number, or on my number rather. And so, of course, my daughter, Case Cove 81, she picked right up on it. My uncle was involved for a little while, and he's now off of my FCC license. But my mother, she finally got involved after listening to it. So I think it's just letting your family be around you while you're talking on the radio, and just let them see how the operation goes. And curiosity kills the cat. So that's the way Case Cove 81 done it. She just listened and paid attention to what I done and what you guys done, and she wanted to get involved. And opposed to ham radio, you gotta take a test and all that. And with this, you don't. You just pay the FCC their money and then contribute to the North Georgia GMRS and get a tag number. And it's a fun hobby to be in.
Well, very good. And Eric, I think you set a high bar in terms of getting the family involved. You get Jenny on the air frequently, and Bill, and of course Renee comes on the air nearly every week, and so you've set the bar pretty high, and appreciate that very much. Having your family involved and on the air with regularity. You mentioned that with the GMRS license, there's no test, and I would say that probably there is. And that would be navigating the FCC website. If you can get through figuring out your FRN number, figuring out the application for the GMRS license, and then figuring out how to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, don't forget the fact that if it actually works.
If the website is up and running, right. Yeah, so that's the test. I mean, if you can pass that test, you're 7/8 of the way to getting your amateur license too. So, but good stuff, Eric, and appreciate you and your family being regular users of the network, and it's great to hear the traffic throughout the day. Next on our list, we have Atlanta 931, Scott in Canton. Scott, I've got you as in tonight. Scott, do you have any comments about getting your family involved with GMRS radio?
You must be too busy getting them involved.
Yeah. All right. Well, Scott is very often in and out, and we're going to go ahead and mark the log that way now so that we can continue on. And next on the list is Atlanta 454, Stephen in Lilburn, also in and out. We have Atlanta 453, Janine, also in Lilburn, in and out. Atlanta 58, Jonathan in Oakwood, in and out. CW40, Robert in Nicholson, in and out. And that'll bring us to McDonough 45, Kai in McDonough. Kai, do you have any comments about getting your family involved in GMRS radio?
Hey, good evening. So we're not sure if we're getting through. Excuse me. We're having some trouble on this end with audio coming through on the McDonough repeater. We had switched to the Jersey repeater and kind of giving trouble on both, so I'm leaving it to the side. We're just me and my daughter getting involved with it, making sure we can stay in contact, and just having fun with it right now.
I think they built an ammo can.
We have a rough copy on you, Kai, but that's cool that you've got your daughter involved. And Mike just reminded me that that you were engaged in an ammo can project with your daughter, and that's cool stuff. And that's a great way to get hands-on experience with putting a radio together, programming the radio, and getting it out on the field and putting it to work. So good stuff. That's a great way to get the family involved. It's just hands-on stuff. And one thing I kind of want to emphasize, I love to hear the traffic on the network. I love to hear the families interact on the network. I love to hear the comments about, I'm just getting off work. Do you need me to pick anything up? That kind of stuff. That's excellent stuff to have on a network, but family involvement doesn't have to be on a network. It can be simplex operations across the backyard or from one vehicle to the next. It can be simplex operations, at a campsite or at the lake or things of that nature. It's not important how you get your family involved. It's just important that you do. And in that way, when something does happen and radio becomes a primary means of communication, there's regularity and there's familiarity and people, there's no learning curve during the heat of the moment. The learning curve is already done, and we can just operate radios efficiently and effectively. And that's one of the big reasons, at least in my mind, that we want to get the family involved. And of course, the other reason is it's just fun to be able to enjoy the radio hobby with your family. And I love getting in the vehicle with Julie and riding around, and people come on the air and they say things, and we often will comment about some of the things that they say, and right or wrong, or our own opinions, or whatever it might be. And it's a great conversation starter. So however you get your family engaged, and I think building a radio project is a great way to do that. So Kai, we've got a rough copy on you. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but appreciate you participating this evening and looking forward to hearing from you again. Next on the list is Atlanta 933. Dwayne in Canton is in and out. Also Atlanta 390. Brian in Canton, in and out. Atlanta 880, Dale in Norcross is in and out. I think Dale has been a champion of getting family involved. I think quite a few members of her family have become GMRS users, mostly on the ERC net, but I think that many of them are also North Georgia GMRS members. So hats off to Dale for her activity in North Georgia GMRS and her involvement both in the ERC and in the North Georgia GMRS regional net. Thanks very much for all that you've done. And that'll bring us next to McDonough 22. Tim in Stockbridge. Tim, do you have any comments about getting family involved in radio?
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Unfortunately for me, I have no family members in Georgia anymore, other than some distant cousins I lost track of a few years back. So I don't really have anybody. I've told my son about it, but he lives in Washington State. Of course, I did check out. I think he may have a repeater some 20-something miles away from him, but he's didn't seem too interested in it. And my sister now lives in Florida, and
her and her husband, he's retired ministry, and so, but they still do a lot of volunteer work in the church and ministry and mission trips and stuff, so they don't have time to get involved with that. But my comment would be, even though you don't have family members like me that are close by, when you talk to people about GMRS, when they ask you, what's that antenna on your car, or if you meet up with somebody, or if they see you talking on the radio or hear about it, or it just comes up in conversation, it's a good recruitment tool to tell them, say, hey, this isn't like ham radio. You do not have to take a test or anything other than, as you gentlemen pointed out, if you can navigate through the FCC website, which can be a challenge at time. It was for me until I figured it out. It took a little bit of diligence on my part. But it's a good recruitment tool to tell people, they say, oh, it's like ham radio, right? And I said, no, it's different from ham radio. It's similar but different. And this is a family-oriented situation. And then especially if, they live in the North Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama area, you tell them about this great network that we have where you can talk all over the place. I tell them, I sit down here in Stockbridge, Georgia, and talk to somebody up near Knoxville, Tennessee on a walkie-talkie, and that kind of gathers their interest too. So, like I said, I just use it as a kind of a recruitment incentive when talking to people about GMRS, but no family members for me, so I'll throw it back to net control.
Yeah, Tim. Well, I don't know where your family's at in Florida, but we do have a tiny little itty bitty repeater. Where's that at, Jeff?
That would be in Ocala, Florida.
Ocala. So, what's our coverage on that repeater? 15 or 20 feet?
It's aimed at the on top of the world community in Ocala, which is a pretty substantial community west of 75.
So I think it's a relatively small coverage in a very large, densely populated community. So, but Florida's a much bigger state than that. So it could be that they're out of range. But I hear what you're saying about having limited family in the area, and you talk about losing touch with cousins. I've got very much the same thing. I've got some cousins up in Indiana that I very rarely, even when I lived there, very rarely ever saw, and I've definitely lost touch with that element of the family. So I know what you mean there. But I suppose if you don't have family, you can talk to friends and acquaintances about GMRS radio and some of the benefits. And you'd mentioned the walkie-talkie, and I remember as a kid, we had walkie-talkies to play with, and on the farm, you've got plenty of opportunity to be in different places and have a need to be able to communicate from the field back to the barn, or from the barn up to the house, from the field to the house. There's all kinds of reasons to need to be able to communicate in that environment, and but the performance of the radios that we had when I was a young man, a kid on a farm, it just not even going to happen. I didn't know about FRS at that time. I think FRS would have been a step up from what we were doing. I think the radios we had were those 27 megahertz unlicensed, same band as the remote control toys, and you had the little remote control race car that would go forward, and then it would turn when you back up, and then you could go forward and you can make it turn again when you back up, but you couldn't steer it because it just had those two functions. So same frequency, I think, as that. But so anyway, with that, Tim, we're going to go ahead and move on with CW33 Tom in Bogart is in and out. We have Gainesville 100 Randall in Buford is in and out. Atlanta 138 Robert in Auburn is at band practice. I think he must be warming up the bagpipes for the barbecue. He was there last year with the bagpipes and played a little bit for us, so hopefully he'll do that again this year. We have next Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log, BR549. Uncle Mike, you have any comments about getting family involved in radio?
Well, thank you, Justin. Yeah, I got some. I haven't had any success with it, except for my son, and that's another story. He's 40 years old, but there are lots of kids who are in my life, and I try real hard to get them interested, and I do that by buying them radios. I was talking to my grandson on the telephone the other night, and we was talking about his radio, and it came with explicit instructions about when and where to use it, and for him not to use it, him not to do anything that he wasn't supposed to do. Let me break. He beamed up on the telephone the other day. I heard you the other night, Papa. I immediately knew that he didn't, because I had been using Simplex, but he thought I did, so I did, and went on to restate that we need to spend some more time together before we get to talk to one another. It's because he lives so far away. He does have actually direct line of sight between Cartersville and both Fort Mountain and flagship binoculars, whatever. There's not so much as a tree between his backyard and those repeaters. But when the time comes, he'll be there. I'm going to have more successes as I put more radios in more youth's hands. Anyway, y'all having a great net tonight. I'm going to go back over and watch the rest of it on the YouTube channel. I just can't talk over there, and I feel guilty by just logging in and logging out, knowing that I'm going to wind up over there. I just need you fellers to work a little harder. Hey, thank you for the opportunity. So far, it's been a good show. It'll be even better. Y'all have a good night tonight. A good net tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. This is WRBT 591. No one will do that till it's overdue. Anyway, back to net control.
That's all right, Uncle Mike. I get everything out of order tonight myself, so that's just the way. But your kid or your grandson over in Cartersville, that's awesome to put a radio in his hands and get him exposed. And you're right. You got to spend a little bit of time with him and get familiar with the operation. Get familiar with, we get in a habit, and I've been guilty of this. You've got a handheld radio in your hand. You get in a habit of wanting to walk around and point at things, and just doing that with a handheld radio often makes your signal terrible. We've taken radios with us when we walk the dogs, and we've learned that it's best just to monitor, because if we try to talk while we're walking the dogs, communication is poor. And so if we can't be someplace where we can stand still and transmit, then it's best just to listen. So lots of opportunities to share the joy of radio with the younger members of our families, and definitely encourage, as often as possible, I encourage us to do that and help get our grandkids and our children involved. The cell phone and the laptop and the tablet computer make it, they consume so much of our attention, and they they're great tools. The cell phone, the smartphone that many of us carry around is whatever question you might have, whether it's what is the price of something, or what is the weather going to be, or how many miles, whatever question might come up in a conversation, the answer to that question is right there in your pocket. And there's so much information there that we kind of lose sight sometimes of what's right in front of us. And so I think that radio can be a good alternate to the cell phone, the smartphone, and that can be an excellent tool that allows us to focus more on the communication and less on the communication device. So that's great stuff that you're instilling in your grandson. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to meeting your son at the barbecue when we go there. So I'm glad to know that he's going to attend that with you. Thank you, Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log. You go on back to YouTube and watch the rest of the show from there.
Well, he said he felt guilty about going to the YouTube channel, but that's what it's for.
Well, I mean,
enjoy it.
But we made him feel guilty about, not checking in with us.
Well,
and,
he did.
But he did. So thanks for that. And appreciate you coming on the air. And we're going to have that. There's going to be a lot of people that are just going to watch on YouTube, and they're not going to come on the air because YouTube is convenient and they're getting all the content. But, part of the point of this is coming on the air and engaging in conversation. Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log always has something interesting to say and is always worth listening to. So thank you for that. Let me break. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. Next on our list is our birthday girl. Happy birthday, Cades Cove 81, Renee. Renee, what are your comments with regards to family and GMRS radio?
Well, thank you for the birthday meeting. I really appreciate that. We all do family and wait. I don't have anything to say about it, other than, when we go to the afternoon or work in or up barbecue, we are family. I mean, I don't think the North Shore GMRS, the network, I think that's a family. I really do. And when me and AEO work in, or we have our own work in, or barbecue, we are a real family. So that's about all I have. And it's back to you. I mean,
Well, I think that's kind of become a common sentiment among many members of North Georgia GMRS, that this is not just a radio club or a community, but this is a family group, and that we unlike in the amateur radio community, we often make contacts, and that's kind of the point of amateur radio. When you're contesting or when you're engaged in amateur radio, you're seeking out as many contacts as you can get with as many different places and people and countries and whatnot. In amateur radio, we focus on contacts, but in GMRS radio, we focus on relationships. And a good many of our members have found lifelong friends in North Georgia GMRS network, and it is a big open family kind of an atmosphere, and we definitely want to encourage that. And along those lines, some of the things that we've done to try to foster that environment, we discourage the use of CB lingo, any 10 codes, any kind of the Rogers and the overs and the 10-4s and all of those kind of CB jargon language, we discourage that for a couple of reasons. One, we want the lay person that's not a radio operator to be comfortable with using North Georgia GMRS and not having to learn what all those things mean. So we encourage people to speak in simple and plain language, and by doing that, we feel like we go a long way toward fostering an open and friendly, family-friendly environment. And of course, obviously, we also discourage talks about things like politics and religion. Those are very divisive subjects and often will result in arguments and disagreements. And so let's just not even talk about it here. If you want to have those conversations face-to-face or in some other format, that's fine. But let's not be divisive and argumentative on the airwaves. So when subjects come up that are uncomfortable to talk about, let's just move on and talk about something else. And I've seen our membership take that challenge head on and deal with it very, very well. And so that's part of what makes us family. And glad to have you as part of the family as well. So once again, happy birthday, Renee. With that, we're going to continue on. We've got Chattanooga 49. Robert in Dalton is in and out. Atlanta 106. Wayne in Ellijay is in and out. We have Gainesville 417. William in Auburn, usually in and out. But let's see if William has any comments tonight about family and GMRS radio.
Gainesville 417, WRER 451. Don't have anything. I've been trying to get my spouse into it, but she's really not interested at this time. She does listen every now and then. My son is in his 50s. He's out in Arkansas. So really, that's about the only thing we got here. And I do appreciate you guys. I usually am in and out. But tonight I decided to try to talk. I'm a better listener than I am a talker. And thank you for the net.
Oh, very good, William. And well, we're glad to have you on the air with us tonight. And I think that's probably a pretty common sentiment. We have spouses that don't really want to get on the air. I'm lucky that Julie was interested early on, and Julie was a more active radio user than I was for the first year or so that we participated in the network. And I don't know how to make that happen. It just kind of did. But I think that's real common, that we have a lot of spouses that don't want to be on the air. They're fine listening to it and hanging out with it, but that's all that they want. And
to some degree, I mean, Kate's even the same way. Kate has her little segment once a week, but for the most part, you don't hear her on the air the rest of the week. She does a lot behind the scenes, but she's just not an everyday user, and that's okay. But like you mentioned earlier, if she needs to use the radio, she knows how.
And that's key.
That's the important part.
That's the important part. So if anything, William, I would encourage you to maybe go in the backyard with a couple of handhelds and just practice some radio with your wife, so that nobody else has to hear. You can be on simplex, and that way, if there's ever an urgent need, then she's ready and familiar, and she's ready to go. But I also want to, since I know you're listening, I want to point out one more thing. I think, William, you're probably the most consistent and long-term. If we were to go back and mine the data in our logs, I bet your name appears more than any other.
Probably more than us.
Probably more than us. Yeah, so I appreciate your consistency, and you're always being there to check in each week. And in and out or in, we're glad to have you. And of course, you're always welcome. So thanks for the support in that way. We really appreciate that. Next on the list, we have McDonough 23. Robert in Stockbridge is in and out, and that'll bring us to Atlanta 256. Chuck in Dawsonville. Chuck, what are your comments with regard to getting your family involved in GMRS radio?
Well,
good morning, evening, guys. I'm glad to be back. It's less noisy and it's nice and cool. No, they're just not they're not interested at all. So it's just me, and that's okay with me. But yeah, it's what it is. So I don't have a whole lot. Just glad to be back in town, and yeah, I ain't gonna go into the other part, but yeah, good.
Well, it's always nice to take a trip, but as Julie and I have learned over the years and the travels that we've been on, man, there's just nothing quite like coming home, and especially when you've been gone for some time, nothing feels better than crawling into your own bed, being able to walk around your own house, dig through stuff in your own refrigerator, drink out of your own milk carton and put it back. Oh, never mind.
This is live streamed. Be careful what you say.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's the best. It's just the best to be at home. And
I want to know if he's bringing that stumbling saloon to Jeep Fest this year, so we can sit up on top and watch things from the mud pit.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be cool. Is that something that we can make happen?
I mean, I designed it 20-something years ago. I can design you one if you guys want to build it and tear it down and pack it up and trailer it off. Yeah, I wasn't feeling good there Saturday night, so I left early, drove home. Thankfully, I did. But they had that whole thing all packed up and in the trailer by 11:30 Sunday afternoon and on their way home. So we do that every year, been doing it every year for 40 years. So, yeah. But I wanted to say happy birthday to Kate's Cove 81. I forgot to say that earlier. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can build something like that. It's not that hard. It goes up pretty easy and comes down pretty easy.
What do they call it at the top of a ship? Is it the eagle's nest when you have that little basket on the top of the mast of the old ships?
Crow's nest.
Crow's nest.
Yeah.
I was close. But I mean, that would be neat for like maybe a camera guy or something like that, you know, at the Jeep Fest event. Maybe not as elaborate as the one that he has for the races, but
You want us to put a little platform on the tower there, right next to the GMRS antenna?
The Roan 25 would be a kind of small.
Yeah.
We'd need a small camera guy.
All right. Well, I'm certainly not going up there, so I think you're probably next in line.
Thanks for volunteering, Mike. Moving right along.
That's the second thing I've been voluntold tonight.
Yeah, so you know the program. All right. Well, good stuff, and yeah, what a cool project that thing was. I don't know what it takes to put it together and take it apart. Probably comparable to the work that we have in putting this together and taking it apart when we travel. And we're going to be traveling soon with it. We're going to be traveling to two places coming up. What are those places?
That would be the annual Smith Family BBQ. The Vanguard will be set up in its full glory with the Vanguard repeater on the air. People can tour it and sit in a chair and operate it and experience the real deal just like we're doing right now.
And because we'll have a repeater on the grounds, you'll be able to carry your HT around inside the building and have access to the entire network through Vanguard. So that'll be kind of cool. Next, we're going to
the Special Olympics in the Chattanooga region. I don't have the exact details about where it is, but that is going to be a working event for us where we're going to assist with communications for the event. So Vanguard may be busy and not readily available for tours, but we will be there.
So in between the Special Olympics and the CV barbecue, we may forego the net that week because the vehicle will be in a transitional state between those two events, and it'll be challenging for us to do a net from Studio Vanguard. So,
which would be April 25th, that Thursday. We're pretty certain we're not going to have a net that week.
So just something to plan for and be aware of that that week unless we come up with another plan, maybe the free salad studio. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what becomes available. But at this time, we're probably not going to have a net for that week of. You said that was April 25?
April 25 is the Thursday.
The Thursday. So, all right. So with that, let's continue on. We have Chattanooga 110. Jim in Ringgold is in and out. We have Chattanooga 46. William in Rossville is in and out. Chattanooga 30. Jonathan in Hickson is in and out. Atlanta 255. Jennifer in Dawsonville. Oh, it's time to break. I only have two more. Let me break. All right, we have Atlanta 255. Jennifer in Dawsonville is in and out. We have Dallas 21. Lisa in Southwest Paulding County is in and out. Dallas 23. Belinda in Southwest Paulding County, also in and out. And Dallas 20. David in Southwest Paulding County. David, what have you done to get your family involved? Do we ever hear your family on the air?
Good evening, everyone. Well, yes, matter of fact, we do. Mom has been getting on the rabbit hole net in a segment called Mom's Time. It was Lisa's idea, and it actually came from when we were moving, that we were using the radio simplex from car to car. And she actually did pretty well with the radios. So Lisa's like, hey, let's get her on the air. And they sat around and figured out, a name for the segment to get her on there. So, and that's what it is. And Justin, I've heard you say this before. Just get on the air. We'll figure out the logistics later on. We'll worry about, better antennas and this and that. Just get on the air. So that's what Lisa did, was she got Mom on the air. But we use the radios around the property for simplex. We use it on trail rides, and that gets everybody used to actually using the radio. Don't sit it in the cup holders and pushing the PTT button. You learn things about the radio just using it on the property.
Yeah, that's a great approach. Just get on the air, and just do it. And the first time is going to be, maybe awkward. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I do the wrong thing? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on an amateur radio and thrown out my GMRS call sign. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown out my GMRS call sign on a private repeater where no call sign is required. It just saying the wrong thing or just saying things, out of habit on the air. When it comes to saying something stupid on the radio, I don't know. I think I've got just about everybody topped. So at one point or another, I've said it. Well, no, Julie, I think, has topped me.
There was that one time.
There was that one time.
That one time.
Yeah, but and it was not at band camp. However, if that's all you're worried about, hold my beer, because because I can embarrass myself on the air pretty well too. So just don't worry about that stuff. It's all small potatoes. Once you've gotten yourself on the air, then that's the worst of it. That's the toughest part. And now that you know how to do that, practice it a little bit and get comfortable with it. And that way when there is an urgent need to be on the air, it's not something that you have to overcome. But good stuff, David, and that's a great approach. I like that. Just get on the air. All right, David, did you have anything else? I think it seems like we need to talk about two things. The first one is the West Side lunch gathering. Tell me which weekend or what's the date of the next gathering? Do you have that yet?
Yes, sir. It is the second Saturday of every month, and I was not prepared for that, but yeah, it's
That's
the
what I
second
did.
Saturday of every month. Sorry,
Neither
and
was
that
Justin.
would be April 13th at Taco Mac. We had 20 last time, which was great, and that's the reason why they want us to, if we go above that number, that way they can make sure they have the proper staff, put the tables together for us, things like that. And it was great. I mean, the service was great, the food was great. We had a really good time. And April 13th, 2650 Dallas Highway, Suite 110, right in front of Lowe's. It's close to the intersection of Barrett and Dallas Highway.
Very good. And a pro tip: if you pick a seat nearby, Dallas 20 is likely to order more rabbit wings than he can eat, and you can pick a few off his plate. So just food for thought.
Food for thought. I see what you did there.
You probably won't want any.
Yeah,
rabbit
he wouldn't
wings.
have to worry about that sitting next to me.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. And then what's the when's the next rabbit hole net?
The next rabbit hole will be April 1st, and it is not an April Fool's joke. So April 1st is the next rabbit hole net,
No, that would be
and we actually have not come up with a topic yet, but that will be coming up shortly. We've been going back and forth on what we think it needs to be, but yeah, we'll let everybody know shortly.
All right, very good. Well, Lisa usually puts a post up on the Monday prior to the rabbit hole net, so be sure to look at Facebook this coming Monday and see if Lisa has posted the topic for the coming rabbit hole net a week from Monday. So good stuff, David. Thanks for all of that.
Speaking of the rabbit hole, did you hear the opening of the rabbit hole net, this last one?
I wasn't able to listen to the last rabbit hole.
Oh,
What'd I miss?
It was so cool. Lisa opened it sounding like she fell down a rabbit hole. It was the coolest thing. They may have done it before, but it was the first time I had heard it. It sounded really cool over the air.
Ah, all right. Well, live from the rabbit hole.
Correct.
Very nice.
David had to pull her out to do the net.
Excellent stuff. So good stuff. I hope Mom is feeling better. I know that I had heard that she wasn't on top of her game for Mom's time last week, but hopefully next time she'll be up for it. So, all right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and keep right on moving. Next on our list is Atlanta 250, Dana in Dahlonega. Dana, do you have something going on this week?
Well, yeah, last time I checked, I think so. Break there and sneeze. Tomorrow night on the Netflix Challenge, we're going to have our first relay. And we're going to try to get a message that no.
He's not holding the repeater.
It is.
It sounds like it is.
From somewhere up here counties all the way 80 miles south into somewhere in Paulding County. Not sure if it's southwest. Don't want to confuse anybody, but yeah, we're hoping that everybody gets a little bit of taste of what a relay is about. It's going to be a tightly knit one, and it might set in motion something bigger down the line.
Well, I think that's a great idea, and it's something I've always kind of wanted to experiment with, on the larger scale of the North Georgia GMRS network. As if we maybe didn't have any links, could we get a message from Columbus, Georgia, all the way to Knoxville? And there's not really a practical way to do that, but this is the same principle in a smaller scale, and I really like the exercise. And there's a couple of things I like about this. One is it proves out your simplex communications capabilities to be able to pass a message. So as an exercise, this is good that we know what our simplex operational capabilities are, and if we have a need to pass a message some distance, then this is how it gets done. And practicing this makes the opportunity to be able to perform this in a crisis situation, much easier to do. We have experience, and we have protocol. We have a number of things that we already know, and we don't have to figure out on the fly. The other thing that I really like about this is that it's just one more activity that gets us out using our radios and utilizing these skills for something beyond just having a casual chat. So it's a practical experience, and I think this is a great application of GMRS radio. So I'm very pleased to hear that this relay is going to take place, and that's going to be tomorrow night. Dana, you're going to probably meet on the ball ground repeater. What time is that going to happen?
Oh, I'm going to start taking early check-ins at 8:15, and there's a reason for that. I know it's normally at 8:30, but I'm hoping to increase the participant numbers by at least 10 or 15. And you're going to need a little bit of additional time to get them all on the roster, and then I also have to have about 10 minutes, maybe less, to discuss the outline of the relay and how it is to work. It's important that everybody understands, it's not just a relay a message. There's some formality to it, and we're going to see if we can't get her done.
Very good. Yeah, not the telephone game. That's not the point. The point is to relay a message accurately, concisely, so that it's the same message that originates is the same message at the destination. So good stuff. And
hang on a minute. One of our faithful YouTube followers from Florida would like to know what a relay event is. So either you or Dana could explain that for our live stream viewers who are not familiar with the practice of a relay event. That would be great.
Well, the general concept is much like a relay race where you hand the baton off from one runner to the next. But instead of handing off a baton, in this case, we're going to have our runner will be a radio operator that will originate a message. And the message could be something like, my baloney has a first name. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be complicated, but we want to be sure that message gets handed off from user to user through the network, and it leaves at an origination and it arrives at a destination, and the message is the same in both locations. So maybe the message would have a couple of sentences. Maybe the message would have a concept that could very easily be, interpreted differently, just to see if the accuracy remains throughout the course of that message. But that's the idea. Is the first operator will find a contact in the general direction of the direction that message is going to travel, hoping that contact will be able to relay that message to another user, who can then relay that message to another user, and however many hops that it requires to get from point A to point B. So I don't know what those points are. Dana will discuss those particular items tomorrow on the ball ground repeater. If you don't have access to the ball ground repeater and you want to engage in simplex operations, Friday night at 9 on 19 is generally the activity, and would invite anybody who's curious to go out and just turn your radio on and see if you hear any traffic. And if you don't hear any traffic, throw your call sign out a few times on Simplex 19 and see if anybody answers. Give it a few minutes and see what comes. Hopefully you'll hear somebody and be able to pass a message, even if it's not the relay message. Just make that contact and find out where your GMRS neighbors are, because, you know, if a big event happens and the repeaters do get knocked offline, it'll be vital that we have communication options, and to know who we're communicating with and approximately where they are could be very important in the event of an emergency. Let me break. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what the relay is all about. Dana will have more particulars and more specific instructions tomorrow on the ball ground repeater. And there again, this is a simplex operation, so we won't really be following any of this on the linked repeater network. It's really meant to be something done off the network to exercise your radio capabilities in the event that the repeaters are not available. All right, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
All right. So next on our list is Dallas 16 Michael in Dallas. We've got him as in and out, and that brings us to Atlanta 26. Flip in the beautiful Druid Hills is in with us tonight. Flip, are you hanging out with us? You still there?
I am here. Yeah, and it is beautiful down here in Druid Hills. I hope it's beautiful up there. So that is really cool what Dana's doing, and I have to tune into that and try to participate. I have to give you guys a report. This summer, speaking of relays, I'm involved with the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet event on July 20th. We're operating from Springer Mountain and relaying packets VHF ham radio, that is, all the way up the Appalachian Trail to Maine. So I have to tell you a little bit more about that and tell you what our experience is with that as we do. I hope you all are well. I want to say first off that I really, really enjoy Julie's behind the scenes. I think I've watched every single one of them, and if you get a chance to tell her, I really appreciate her doing that. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot, so thank you. Let's see, Family GMRS. I want to start off, let me break. I did a quick lookup. GMRS includes immediate family members, which are defined as the licensee's spouse, children, grandchildren, stepchildren, parents, grandparents, step-parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and in-laws. And I wanted to mention that because my way of getting my family involved is to be the radio guy that's ready and active when needed and when it's appropriate. And for example, 3 years ago during the pandemic, height of the pandemic, we went out as a family with our brother and sister-in-law and their family, our niece, etc., and went to Yellowstone. And there's no cell coverage there, so I put a radio in their hands, and of course I managed to identify for us all the time as we were talking. But that is the biggest national park in the United States, and you can drive for hours in there. So it was really wonderful to have GMRS capability between our vehicles and to stay in communications. Another idea for family participation, let me break. We have some good friends here in town who have younger kids, and I think the key is to get a radio in kids' hands and experience radio before they have a cell phone in their hands. And so to do that, what I've tried to do is there's a badge for the Boy Scouts called Radio Badge, I think it is. And so I've been working on a program for that to be able to spend a day with kids who don't have cell phones in their hands yet and let them earn the radio badge by trying out radio in different capacities. It's a little complicated. I'm trying to get the best. I'm sure that I'm not the first one to think of that, so I'm working on a good program to do that and hope to be able to replicate it amongst a bunch of Boy Scout troops and stuff. So anyway, look forward to seeing you guys, you knuckleheads, at the barbecue. And with that, I'll give it back to you. This is Atlanta 26.
Very good stuff, yes, and I do plan on bringing the knuckleheads to the barbecue, so you will see you there. But I think that's you bring up a great point, and that is the Boy Scouts. I think that is a great opportunity that we as radio enthusiasts are missing, and I think that's a huge untapped, let me call it a market for not only amateur radio but GMRS radio. Let me break. The opportunities are there to reach a lot of kids, and one advantage that GMRS radio has is that if a family has 2 or 3 sons in the Boy Scouts, rather than paying for individual licenses for each Boy Scout, they can just get one license, and all the Scouts can learn how to operate radio in GMRS. I know that the radio program for the Boy Scouts is really focused more on amateur radio, but I would be willing to bet that GMRS can satisfy the vast majority of points that they are trying to make in earning that radio badge as a merit badge for the Boy Scouts. And here is an opportunity that many of us have as parents of children to go into the troop and talk about radio and see if we can spark any interest there, and see if any of the Boy Scout troops want to have some radio leadership within the troop. And I think that's a great opportunity. I wish I had more time, because I would very much like to go and spend time talking with kids and teaching kids how to use radio and how to use radios in both in simplex operations and in repeater operations. And if that could help them earn a badge, that would be cool. I just don't have the time to do it. There's so many things that I'm pulled in so many different directions as it is. That's the last thing I can do at this point, is take on one more project. But if any of you out there are thinking, man, I'd like to contribute to radio in some way, this is a great way to do that. Get involved in your local Boy Scouts and take some radios out there, do some demonstrations, and see if the kids will ask some questions. Great stuff, Flip. And yeah, it's beautiful here in Woodstock tonight. We've got the back door of Studio Vanguard is wide open. I did see a moth fly in here, but I think that's about all we've had for bugs. So we're enjoying this early spring weather opportunity.
Except for the Mustang guy.
Well, the Mustang guy. I think the Mustang guy would have been a problem even with the doors closed.
That's right.
That's a very loud car. But he's very proud of how loud that car is. What can you do? It wouldn't have mattered. I think even when we're in a permanent studio, we're going to hear the Mustang guy. But good stuff. Flip, did you have anything else before we go?
No, that's it. Really, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. So, it's been a while. So I'm looking forward to it. And there's no barbecue like free barbecue. So I'll see you guys up there.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. And Vanguard will be there, so you'll have a chance to check that out and sit and operate in Vanguard. There'll be opportunities for that as well. So definitely look forward to seeing you at the barbecue. All right. With that, let's go ahead and move into. We've got a big old list of in and outs here. So some of these are YouTube check-ins, some of these are radio check-ins, and one or two of them might even be Zello check-ins. So let's go ahead and we have Chattanooga 162. Larry in Chattanooga is in and out. Chattanooga 69. The Velvet Elvis from Las Vegas is in and out. Atlanta 780. Houston in Austell is in and out. Atlanta 31. Ron in Ackworth is in and out. Gainesville 285. Charlie Victor 2 times from Murrayville is in and out. Gainesville 286. Lynn, also in Murrayville, in and out. And from YouTube, we have Atlanta 145. Stephen in Marble Hill. Also Atlanta 557. Ed in Kennesaw. In Atlanta 689. Jana in Loganville, all from YouTube and in and out. We have Noonan 35. Walter in Noonan was in and out. Atlanta 849. Pamela in Duluth, in and out. Atlanta 848. Ernest in Duluth, in and out. Atlanta 420. William in Roswell, checking in on YouTube. Gainesville 44. Joe in Cleveland, in and out. Atlanta 77. Warner in Tucker, in and out. Gainesville 43. David in Auburn, in and out. Dallas 64. Josh in Dallas, in and out. And that'll bring us to, and I'm not sure, I'm betting that Danny was in and out, but let's call on him and see. Chattanooga 230. Danny in Rock Springs. Danny, do you have any comments about getting your family involved in GMRS Radio?
Yeah, I'm still here. I've got a couple of comments. I guess I would just tell you how I did it. I guess it was about November of last year, which I'm a bit of a prepper. I was in electronics most of my life, but I never gave any thought to ham radio or, GMRS or any type of radio. Anyhow, just thinking about the prepping thing, I started talking to my son-in-law, and he said, hey, we might want to try a couple of those little cheap Chinese radios. Well, I ended up buying all the family members a radio. I actually did get some that are GMRS only. But since then, we have practiced a time or two, make sure that we can connect to each other. We're all connecting on different, there's 7 people in the family, and we're all connecting on different repeaters. I'm on lookout. One's on Brainerd or the Chattanooga repeater. One has to connect to Fort Mountain. But I actually just purchased the radios and put it in their hand at Christmas time and said, here, let's try these out. So that is possibly a way to get your family involved. It's just hand them the radio, say, here, let's play with these. Anyhow, I went ahead and set all the radios up and put labels on them to show them, which repeaters which and whatnot. But anyhow, that's just a thought. Plus, I reminded them of AT&T going down recently. And, a few years back, it was Verizon in Nashville that went down and created a problem. So anyhow, I guess that's most of my thoughts on this. It is possible to put a cheap radio in somebody's hand and say, hey, let's play with these.
Yeah, that's for sure, and that's a good approach. And one thing that I'm hearing from your story is you're able to put radios in the hands of family members that aren't necessarily, in the same household. So that's also something that is very cool. The FCC allows for under GMRS rules is that these family members don't have to live with you. You can have your parents covered under your license, living in a house nearby or even in a completely different area. But as big a coverage area as North Georgia GMRS has, even if they have to access the network on different repeaters, the linked repeater network allows for a very large coverage area, and we can communicate with family members that are spread across the region. So that's a cool thing to be able to get your family involved that way, knowing that if AT&T or Verizon or anybody else has an outage, that you still have access.
Scheduled outage.
Right. So, and those scheduled outages, you just, it's not something that we really think of very often, but the network that we rely so much on is a very delicate balance of technology. And one little oops on one little machine can bring the whole thing down. And I see it on a railroad. I try to instill caution in our IT people that don't quite realize that this is something more than text messages and email, that the traffic control for the railroad lives on the network. And if you break that, we stop trains, and stopped trains don't make any money. Those trains have to keep moving in order for the paycheck to keep coming. So we don't want to stop trains. And trying to get my IT partners to understand that has been challenging. So from the IT community, that idea that critical uptime is just not something that they really live in that world. They don't want to create an outage, but they don't really understand the consequences or the significance if they do create an outage. The expectation is that it's just another day at work, and we'll fix it, or somebody will. So and that happens. So this network that we all depend on is really, it's a house of cards, and at any point we could have a local or a regional or a nationwide or even a global outage. And it could be because of somebody installing software they shouldn't have. It could be because of a misconfiguration in a router somewhere. It could be any of 100 things, and it's a very delicate balance. So putting radios in the hands of our family members and saying, here, let's just see if we can make this contact. I'm going to go home, and when I get there, I'm going to call out to you. You be listening, and if you hear me, then come on back. And I think it was Flip had mentioned earlier that he kind of handled FCC IDs for his family members. So, you gonna break your wrists there?
No, you need to break.
All right. Jeff tells me I need to break, so here we go. But that handling of the FCC call sign, it's not that every individual under your license has to identify. You can identify for your family members, and that's fine. And of course, TAC numbers on North Georgia GMRS, we expect family members to have their own TAC number. But if you're in simplex, that doesn't matter. You don't necessarily need to use a North Georgia GMRS TAC number. You might want to come up with something, but of course, first names will work too. So it can be as simple as that. Well, thank you very much for your comments, Danny. Let's move on next to Chattanooga 231, and let's see if Cheryl has any comments for family involvement in North Georgia GMRS. I'm just imagining, Danny and Cheryl arguing over her talking on the radio right now. And she's not gonna.
Right.
Come on, they're expecting you to come on the air.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just fine. All right, I'm not hearing any response from Chattanooga 231, so we're going to show Cheryl as in and out. You're off the hook, Cheryl. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Glad to have you along, and thanks for listening in. That'll bring us next to Chattanooga 84 Jim in Hickson. Jim, do you have any comments about getting family involved in GMRS radio?
Jim doesn't want to talk to you either.
We might have lost Jim. Oh. That came in off Watkinsville. That's not Jim.
All right, well, maybe it's past Jim's bedtime. We're going to go ahead and show Jim as in and out, and we're going to keep right on moving. Next on our list is Noonan 120 Carmine in Fayetteville. Carmine, what do you have for us tonight for family involvement in GMRS radio? Is this thing on?
I know we're getting out. I can hear it on the barn radio.
No, all right. We're going to go ahead and show Noonan 120 Carmine in Fayetteville as in and out and continue on. Next on the list, we have Atlanta 532 Tom in Flowery Branch is in and out. Atlanta 589 Don from the Red Rock community is in and out. Atlanta 308 Dan in Marietta in and out. Atlanta 261 Scott in Holly Springs is in and out. Atlanta 710 Scott in Roswell is in and out. CW2 Stephen in Arnoldsville is in and out. CW1 Eileen in Arnoldsville is in and out. CW8 Robert in Colbert YouTube check-in is in and out. And we have a guest from St. Augustine watching on YouTube. I guess that is WSAD 791 watching on YouTube. So Later Gator, okay. We've seen that user comment on quite a number of.
He's in with us almost every week.
Yeah,
A regular.
So thanks for hanging out with us, Later Gator. My brother lives in St. Augustine, so maybe you know him.
Maybe it is your brother.
No, because it's never mind. It can't be my brother. It's legible. And then we have WSAI 340 Larry, another YouTube check-in. So thank you for those check-ins. Is it time for one last round?
I think it is.
That is the end of our roster at this time, so we can take one last round of check-ins. Any questions or comments? The floor is open. Net Control, standing by.
This is Columbus 40 WQZF 998.
John.
Is WRX2 5Q7 Case Code 78. Charles.
This is
Uncle Mike, what a comment.
This is WRBT 591, BR 549 with the comment at the end of the check-ins, please.
This is WSAR 344 Atlanta 170 checking in and out.
Net controls is Noonan 120. Net control, this is.
I'm going to uncheck him up there from
All right. Yeah.
He's clearly watching on YouTube.
Atlanta 849 with a comment.
All right. Pamela has a comment.
Five WSAE 606 Cindy and Comer checking in and out. Great net tonight.
What was her tech?
Didn't get a tech at Cindy and Comer.
It was something 5. I'm assuming CW. Yes, CW5. Cindy and Comer.
Thank you. Was she in and out?
I didn't catch that part.
I think she was in and out.
All right. We've got just a handful of check-ins here and a couple of comments. Let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have. We have Columbus 40 John in Phoenix City, Alabama is in with us tonight. Cades Cove 78 Charles in Knoxville is in with us tonight. Atlanta 170 Dalton in Cartersville is in and out. We had a guest check-in on YouTube, WRNT759. Sean from Easley, South Carolina is that not right? YouTube?
No, it is.
Okay.
It is.
All right. YouTube check-in. And then we heard CW5, Cindy in Comer. We've got you marked as in and out, but I'm going to call on you anyway, Cindy, because I'm not entirely sure that you were in and out. And then we had comments from BR549. We'll take you, Mike, at the very end. And then Atlanta 849, Pamela in Duluth with a comment. Let's go first to
John.
Yeah, Columbus 40, John in Phoenix City. John, did you have any comments for the net tonight? Any remarks regarding family involvement? Well, unfortunately, John, that was all covered up in noise. If you get a chance, check out the YouTube video, and you'll hear just what we're hearing. Your signal is there. We just need some improvement. So I don't know if there's anything you can do tonight, but definitely listen to the end of the YouTube stream so you can hear what we're hearing. And I think then you'll know what you need to do, whether it's location or power or whatever it might be. But we weren't able to make any of that out. I'm going to come back to you and see if you have a quick fix. But we didn't copy any of that. All right, John. Hopefully you can get that bass up and playing and be able to come in here nice and strong next time. If you want to listen to what we heard, it's I'm told it's at the 1 hour and 52-minute mark. You can kind of skip ahead and then get right to that part. Next on the list, we have Cades Cove 78 Charles in Knoxville. Charles, did you have any comments for the net tonight? Any comments about family involvement in GMRS radio?
Charles was a rough copy on his check-in, too.
Yeah. All right, Charles, we got a rough copy on your check-in and almost no copy on that last. So we're going to mark your check-in as in and out and move right along. Next, we have Atlanta 170 Dalton in Cartersville was in and out. We had WRNT 759 Sean in Easley, a YouTube check-in in and out. And that brings us to CW5 Cindy in Comer. Cindy, did you have any comments or was our login specialist correct in you being in and out?
Don't forget to go back to Carmine, too.
Yeah, I was in and out, but I just wanted to comment that it's a great topic, and love to hear all the great ideas that everybody has, and I'm happy to be a part of the club. So great night tonight. Now back to you.
All right, Cindy. I'm glad to have you along, and that's one of the things that a lot of users are real hesitant, especially female users. We have some exceptions, but they're very shy or embarrassed or uneasy about coming on the air. And just like to highlight your check-in tonight and your brief comment that it's as simple as that, and it doesn't have to be learning how to use the lingo. We try to keep that to an absolute minimum. We try to have conversations that are the same conversation you might have on a telephone or that you might have at the dinner table, so that it doesn't have to be complicated with a lot of technical jargon and lingo. It can just be very simple, from the heart, from the mind words. And I think this was an excellent example of that. So come on, you made your point quickly, and glad to have you along. So look forward to talking with you more as time goes on. So thanks for that this evening. With that, we're going to move on to Chattanooga 9-7. Anthony in Ringgold was a YouTube check-in, and he is in and out. And before we go to the comments, I want to go back to Noonan 120, Carmine, and he missed his turn, but let's go back to him and see if Carmine has any comments for the net with regard to family involvement in GMRS radio. Noonan 120, Carmine, are you there?
Guess not.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and move on. No comment from Noonan 120. We've called it several times. So with that, we're gonna go to our comment section here. We have a comment from Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth. Go ahead with your comment.
Yes, gentlemen, I appreciate you letting me come back in, and I just wanted to apologize for earlier because I had just got in the car and I heard the tail end and was trying to get in and didn't realize it was Zello, because I would never jump in on Zello because I know better. But talk about family. My sister's in North Carolina, so she's not really close by. And I have a brother who would do it, but he used to actually climb the radio towers for the radio stations to help repair whatever was going on with that and talk on the radio. He said he had enough radio, so maybe he'll change his mind one day and come back. Let me break. Also, I heard you talking about the Boy Scouts, and reminded me tonight I just happened to be out, and the Girl Scouts had some leftover cookies for sale that I picked up. Girl Scouts would probably a group would definitely could use the information about having a radio as a backup, especially if they were out camping. An emergency came up, would be a good thing to have. Appreciate the net. Was a really good topic and enjoyed it.
Well, that's a great point, Pamela, and I think that's completely valid. The Girl Scouts could equally benefit from exposure to GMRS radio or amateur radio. I don't know very much about the Girl Scouts, but I assume it's similar to the Boy Scouts in that there are different badges or accomplishments or certificates that they can earn for different functions. And I don't know if radio is one of them in the Girl Scouts, but if it's not, it should be.
It should be.
And I think that's also that's great. I would be very uncomfortable in trying to approach a group of young girls about radio. But if Julie were there, that might be something that we could do. But there again, it's just one of those areas that I would encourage our membership to engage in. I just don't have the bandwidth to take on the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. But I think that's a great idea, and it's certainly valid that the Girl Scouts could absolutely be a great place to introduce radio. And I think that, if there were conventional communications were lost for whatever reason, and they were out camping someplace, or even just out, if they're at the Walmart and the cell phone doesn't work, if they're, selling cookies, or if they're just doing whatever function they might be doing and the cell phone's not working, having an alternative communication so that people can check in on them and make sure that they're still doing okay and that, there are no issues, could be a worthwhile alternative communications option. So certainly worth looking at. And as far as the Zello thing, each week going forward, when we ask for Zello check-ins and somebody checks in using the radio, we're going to call them out. I just feel like I have to. It's been a problem. I know that nobody is doing this intentionally, but it's such an interruption to the whole Zello process. And so it's nothing personal. I'm not trying to belittle anyone, but I am going to draw attention to it each time that it happens. So I hope that you'll forgive me in drawing that attention, but I'm going to do it continuing forward, because we need to pay attention and just not do that, because it interrupts the entire flow of that Zello check-in process. And so the pause that we leave in there to try to give to the Zello users to check in means that we have to start over and make a new pause. And each time there's an RF interference, if it's just a blip for a half a second, Zello will see that as traffic. And if you're trying to use the push-to-talk when that comes in, it can interrupt your call. And if you make too many attempts at a call without traffic, Zello will put you in a timeout box. So that whole process is what we're trying to get past, to make sure that folks that are trying to check in on Zello have the opportunity to. Can't tell you how many times, Jeff, how many times have we gotten emails and complaints about people that tried to check in on Zello and we just didn't take their check-in?
A lot, and usually there's Facebook comments with it also. So it does happen, and it's frustrating, understandably so, that they don't have another option, especially if they're on vacation or, out of network coverage, so to speak, and Zello is their only means of getting into the network. It's just very frustrating on their part, and we don't want to exclude anybody. So to not give them a fair try to get into the net is just not fair to Zello users.
So with that in mind, going forward each week, we're going to continue to call folks out. And again, it's nothing personal, but it is intentional. Let me break. All right, and with that, that brings us to our last comment of the evening. Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log, BR549, has something he'd like to say.
Thank you, Justin. This is BR549. Something I thought of as I watched the net tonight. I heard a lot of great ideas for getting children involved. I like the idea of parents supplying radios to the Girl Scout troop or the Boy Scout troop or the soccer team when they're on the road. One of the things that I didn't think of that when I asked for a comment. When I asked for a comment, it was my experience with my grandson and a couple of other groups of children. When you plan on prices for modern day radios are unbelievable. I'm not going to go into it here, but you could. If you have any doubts about how little they cost, call me. And we're talking about approved GMRS radios. But I just wanted to point out you can never buy a child one radio. Get over it. There must be two. There might be four, which will still bring you in at well under $100. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because I heard so many great ideas tonight for sponsoring putting radios in children's hands. With that, back to net control. Thank you.
Well, that's a great point, Mike. And, you know, one thing, too, that we need to keep in mind is that we can let our kids use FRS radios. They can get on FRS and they can talk to themselves. They can talk to their friends across the street. They can talk to other kids in the neighborhood. Or they can talk to their folks on FRS. At FRS power levels, there's no license required, so there's no need to identify. But nonetheless, we can still get our kids used to the idea of push-to-talk and operating a radio. And this is all good training towards when the call sign is required and the tactical user number comes into play. You can give the kids TAC numbers to use in FRS. Each kid can be identified, with whatever TAC number you choose to assign in that environment, just to get them familiar with the concept and the idea of operating that way. So FRS radios, cheap GMRS radios, they're out there, and yeah, you could buy 4 radios for under $100, and that way when your kids' friends come over, you put them on FRS frequencies, and they can go play radio. They're not hurting anything, and they're perfectly legal to do that.
Well, excuse me. The other thing, too, which is kind of in line with what you were just talking about, there was a YouTube comment asking about how you can use unique identifiers with family members on Simplex, much like we do with TAC numbers on the network. And like Justin just said, you can just make something up. As long as you're using your call sign, you can put an M for Mary after it, or it doesn't really matter. Any unique identifier that you want to use to differentiate your family members is perfectly legal as long as your FCC call sign is used as well.
That's right. So in GMRS frequencies, the FCC call sign obviously is required. And, an adult can identify for the rest of the family. That's fine. And, as far as tactical unit numbers in Simplex, if you're operating in your neighborhood or what have you, it could be the street name, whatever the street is, Main Street 1, Main Street 10, Main Street 11. It could be as simple as that, or it could be a surname. It could be the school name. It could be any of a number of
dog's
things.
name.
The dog's name
Yeah.
followed by a number. That's your tactical identifier for that operation. It doesn't have to be permanent, and it's not even required really in Simplex operations, but it can make it easier if you've got 2 or 3 kids playing on the radio, and you don't necessarily want to call them out by their first names. Then assign each kid a TAC number, and let them play that way. There is some sensitivity to children's identity being out there over the airwaves, and I'm aware that not everyone is comfortable with that idea. Everything we do on the radio is not private. Let me break. So if that is a concern that you have, then a TAC number is a great way to get past that, so you don't have to mention your children's name on the air. And then that way you don't have to worry about somebody coming on the air where you're not listening or you're not there and striking up a conversation with the kids inappropriately. So, but I definitely recommend adult supervision in all cases when you're engaged with kids and radio. So, all right, is this, okay, this is another in and out. All right, we're going to go ahead and acknowledge this one right here. We have, there's two of them. Atlanta 259, Jonathan in Alpharetta is checking in on YouTube, and Atlanta 519, Gary in Marietta is checking in on YouTube. So that brings us to the end of the roster. You guys made it in the nick of time.
Squeaked by.
Just squeaked by. Got in just ahead of the buzzer. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. How many do we have tonight?
77.
77. All right. So this net takes place every Thursday
That's
evening.
the beginning of the net. We need the closing.
I am at the wrong place. Well, it does. It does take place every Thursday evening.
Well,
Tonight,
even our cool new little graphic says that.
Tonight we do have some cool graphics. If you've not gone to YouTube to check out tonight's live stream, definitely come back to it later and have a look at the image has got a bit of a facelift, and it's pretty cool. So I encourage all of you to come back and check out the YouTube live stream, whether you're live or coming back as a replay. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. Making comments on the YouTube channel also helps the algorithm to identify this as being content that you find interesting, and it helps with our outreach to other YouTube viewers. So appreciate the likes and subscribes as well as the comments. This will conclude the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of
77
check-ins, including the net control staff here. We now conclude the net this evening, and we'll be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. First, I want to say thanks to all of you for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
This is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
And Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.